Right, okay. Am I on? Am I recording? Should be. Should be. Hello. Ooh, hello. That's me. Whoa, long time no see. Haven't done this in a while. um, okay, hopefully this is going to be a quick. It might not be a quick one, actually, now I think about it. Doing something a little bit different. Internet's still a bit wonky. Still feeling a bit under weather. It's been one hell of a year, but I just thought I'd at least do something to end the year, or at least start the new year with. I don't know. However, you want to take it whenever this comes out. I just wanted to do something a little bit different because this has been quite a crazy year when it comes to video games. I'm trying to look at the camera, I'm trying to keep eye contact, but it's a bit high up actually. Maybe if I focus on the screen. So I got a list to the side of me here of a bunch of games that I wanted to talk about, games that I've played this year. Not necessarily new games, there's a lot of new games on here, games that have come out this year, but I also wanted to mention a few that I've played for the first time this year. Just a few games that have been highlights for me this year, because there's been a lot of them, more than any other year than I can remember, quite frankly. The first one on this list, you can probably see by the image behind me, is a little game called Sea of Thieves. So a little bit of background here, because there's a bit of a cheat. I bought this game sometime, well, quite a few years ago now, actually. I wanted to see if it could run on my old PC. It could not, but last year I had a new PC, so I installed a bunch of games that I had sitting on my Steam library, including Sea of Thieves, and what happened is that I ended up playing it into the new year. So technically, although this is a game that I played last year, technically it's a game that the first time I played it, I went into the new year with it. Basically, I played with my friend. He was showing me the ropes. He's like not an expert, but like someone that knew the game, and I played with him, and we played through the new year. We completely forgot about the countdown, so in the game we got to see the fireworks go off. And when they did, we were just like, "Oh, Happy New Year," and all that. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Technically, this is the first game I played this year, so I'm okay with talking about it. I just wanted to put it on this list as a mention. It's okay. It's okay. It's a good game. Obviously, it's an old one now, so technically not under the new to 2023 category. But it's the first time playing it, and I get it. I get it. It's alright. It's alright. Not my cup of tea. I think that's the thing. Not my cup of tea. My eye went a bit wonky then. Okay, check. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. It's one of those games where it's like a big multiplayer game, but you barely get to see any other player. It's that big, and whenever you do, they just end up killing you. So yeah, it's not my cup of tea. It's similar to, I played Ark Survival or Evolved, something like that. But one of those games, one of those Ark games, I remember playing that, and it was pretty much the same experience. I also played DayZ. This game kind of had a similar vibe to me. It was fun with my friend, don't get me wrong, but after that I tried playing again on my own, and yeah, it's not it for me. It's not my cup of tea, unfortunately. I wanted to give a shout out here. I don't have an image for it, but there's a game I wanted to mention. Um, Something that some people might know about me is how much I love pro wrestling. And one thing I love about pro wrestling, for me personally, is the fantasy booking. And there was one game I wanted to give a quick shout out to on Steam. It's a game called Pro Wrestling Sim. It's very good in terms of the fantasy booking stuff. It's better than the WWE GM mode. It's better than the Fire Pro Wrestling. Basically, if you love the creative side of wrestling, if you have like your own fantasy leagues or whatever, your own fantasy characters, e-fedding as you call it, Pro Wrestling Sim is like the perfect game. So I highly recommend if you're into that sort of stuff. Which I was going to say I still am to this day. Actually, I did find a lot of fun. I've clocked in a lot of hours on that this year. Found it very early in January, and I'm glad I did, because Holy cow, that was great. Okay, so I'm about to change the image here to the next game that I want to talk about. I guess this is like the first like proper game that I played new this year. Even though it's not a new game, it's actually a remaster. It's Metroid Prime Remastered. So, the very first Metroid game that I ever played was Metroid Dread. That was the first one. I didn't grow up with Nintendo. I should clarify as well. I didn't really grow up with Nintendo apart from Game Boy and DS, and I've only got a select handful of games that I remember from that. But when I got the Nintendo Switch, that's when I started like that's when I started like looking into what Nintendo has to offer. And I remember getting Metroid Dread for the first time, and that was one hell of a game. Like, it's a shame that I didn't talk. I could have live streamed that. I could have played through that multiple times. I can't wait for the next time I do. Actually, that was fantastic. Bear in mind I played that before Super Metroid. Super Metroid is on my list of games to play. Hopefully in the new year. So if I do another video like this, maybe it'll pop up. But Metroid Dread was definitely a highlight for me, whatever year it came out. I can't remember which one it was now, but that was a great game. I was surprised when I played this game for the first time how similar it was. I guess I didn't know that Metroid has its own style. It's a unique thing. It's a unique experience. It has unique tropes that you don't really see in most other games. And I was quite surprised. I was quite delighted that it was in this. And obviously the jump from 2D to 3D is quite interesting. I don't know what the general vibe of this game was originally. Apparently this remaster is like a better version of the original because of the control differences, but I didn't really like it as much as I liked Metroid Dread. That's not to say that I didn't like it, because I did. But there was something about this. There was something about Metroid Prime Remastered that it didn't click as much. I don't know if it's because it's an older title, which is something I'm probably going to have to look, well, something I'm going to have to prepare for when it comes to Super Metroid or any of the other Metroids. For me, Metroid Dread was kind of the standard, and going into Prime, although I did enjoy it, I wasn't staying up late hours playing it like I did with Dread, personally. I didn't enjoy it as much. Still good, still a highlight. Definitely not Game of the Year. We'll come to that, trust me. We'll come to that, trust me. I think I'm better looking at down here rather than the camera, actually. Oh, I don't know, actually. Ooh, okay, alright. Going back to my list here. I do have a couple of honorary mentions on this list, looking down on here, and for whatever reason I've got Hogwarts Legacy on here, even though I've never played it, even though I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I think I know, because this shows how long this list is, not how old this list is. I think I put that on there because it was such a huge controversy at the time, and I guess I had an opinion at the time and I wanted to share it, but yeah, I think that ship sailed. I've also got Dead Space. I've had Dead Space sitting on my PS5 for quite a while now. I was going to live stream that on Halloween, but that was around the time when I had COVID, so yeah, maybe next year. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll talk about it next year. The next game on my list, I've already mentioned that I'm a big wrestling fan. It's a big guilty pleasure of mine over the years. I have every single, well, not every single WWE game, but I have a huge majority of them, all the way back to WWF SmackDown on the PS1, one of my very first PS1 games. I've been collecting all the WWE games ever since, and this is the latest one. Not much to say, really. I personally prefer 2K22 more than this one, for a number of reasons, but this one's alright. It's more or less the same. The reason why I clock so many hours into these bloody games is simply because it's just the creative side. As I mentioned, I do like my creative my creative side when it comes to pro wrestling, and these are like the best games for that. Aside from Pro Wrestling Sim now, obviously, but That's the only reason. That, and I do like simulating the matches rather than actually playing them. It's a game that is just good background noise while I'm doing other things personally, so it is what it is. I like it. I like the series. I personally prefer 2K22, but still a step up from obviously 2K20. Uh, okay, so up next on the list is a game. I know I haven't sounded particularly positive about these games so far, but this is the first game that I am very, very positive about. Resident Evil 4. So this is the remake. Um, those that are familiar with this YouTube channel, I can't imagine there's a lot of you, obviously, but when this channel started, it was mostly live streams, and there's a number of games that I consider to be my favorite games to play through on the channel live, and this was one of them. The original Resident Evil 4, I live streamed my very first playthrough, and it was such a great experience. I loved it. I loved the experience, and I loved the game itself, obviously. I loved the game so much that I ended up playing it twice over, again on the PS4, and then I bought it again on the Switch and played it again on that. So this remake, though, had quite a build-up because, for me personally, when it comes to like remakes, I would either prefer the original over the remake, or I prefer the remake over the original. Never is it really like I like both at the same time. I like both equally, but this is one of those rare occasions. But this had quite a build up because RE2 remake was brilliant, right? That was a hit, brilliant game, awesome game, amazing. In my opinion, better than the original, but that's only because I'm not a big fan of the original style. That's a personal take. Don't be offended or whatever. But I personally prefer the RE2 remake over the original. RE3 remake, however, to me that was a bit of a miss. Not a big fan of the RE3 remake. I enjoyed it at first, not enough of Nemesis, unfortunately. Not enough of it. Bunch of cut content as well. Seemed very, very sloppy. So, for Capcom, that was one hit and one miss. And then they announced this remake. So, this game was kind of going to be the tiebreaker, you know? Is it going to be a hit or is it going to be a miss? And I was so skeptical at first. And then I played it. And I bloody loved it. I absolutely loved it to bits. It was so good. It was so good. I cannot express how good it was. However, I cannot say that it's better than the original because it's just not. It's just not. Nothing's better than the original. But this is equal. RE4 Remake was equal to the original. And that's, that's something to be celebrated. I love that about it. I love that about this game, that it's just as good as the original. Because the original was such a high bar. It had such a high standard that I'm glad it turned out as it did. Like there were there's so many moments in the original RE4 that I was like skeptical. Is it gonna be in the new remake? Is it gonna be cut? I don't know. And all the parts that were cut were eventually put in the DLC, so they're still in the remake as well, which is cool. Like it's easier to list the things that were cut out than there is to list the things that were in it, which is more than what can be said. It's the exact opposite when it comes to the RE3 remake. So the fact that the RE4 remake turned out to be a major hit for me, this is definitely one of my favorite games of the year, and I can't wait to replay it. I really can't wait to replay it. So I do have a few mentions on here, but I gotta bring up the next one. I guess I thought it was worth mentioning because this, to me, was a highlight of the year as well. It's a game called Meet Your Maker. So, mixed feelings about this one. I really enjoyed the concept. One of the key words when it comes to this one is potential, because this game, This game had a really fun premise. So the idea is that you have two options. You can either create or you can play. When you play, you go into other people's creations. The idea is that you build a base, and the premise is that you have to sneak into other people's bases, steal whatever like the thing is that you need to steal, and get it out while avoiding all of the enemies and all of the traps. Like the idea is that when you create a base, you have to fill it with all of these traps that are designed specifically to stop the player from getting your thing. Right, and I love that concept to the point where the first one I did, the first base I made, the next day you can watch replays. You can watch the playthroughs of other players doing your level, and there was one player, he must have died like 18 times on my level, and it was so satisfying. It was so satisfying every time that player died to one of my traps. Oh my god, I felt like an evil genius. And that was so cool. My only thing, the thing that drew me away from this game, is that when you publish a level, upload a level, that level only lasts like 24 hours. So essentially, like, and it costs like an in-game currency for you to keep the level up. It costs in-game currency to get all the like stuff, but in order to get the in-game currency, you have to play other people's levels. And I get that's the appeal, but I think 24 hours is kind of short. Maybe keep it uploaded for like a week or something. I don't know, but it just I wanted to create more than I wanted to play, and it wouldn't let me unless I played, and I didn't really want to play. I wasn't in the mood to play because it's not a particularly fun game to play personally. I just love the creative side, but I never really like leaned into that. And to me, that's why I didn't think much about this. Like as soon as the hype was gone, I like completely stopped playing this. Unfortunately, because this had great potential. Maybe it's better with all the updates added to it. I don't know. I haven't played it for months now, but this was such a great like idea. I just wish it was realized. I just wish it was fleshed out a bit more. Um, I know it's not a major title or anything, but I just wanted to bring it up. I just wanted to mention it because this was a highlight for me this year. Another highlight for me this year was a game called Dredge. So obviously this got nominated for Indie Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year, and rightfully so because this game was brilliant. I will say it's simple. It's a simple premise, but the atmosphere was perfect. Um, I do have this personal fear of like it's not necessarily large bodies of water. It's large bodies in water, you know, and this game had that to a T. Um, this was a good game. Interesting story as well. Interesting twist in the end of the story as well. I think it was a good game. I'm yet to play the DLC. The DLC has just dropped for this as well, but I wanted to mention this as well. This was a great game, a great highlight for the year, and I would recommend if you ever get the opportunity. I do have a honorable mention. This is supposed to be an order of release. Sorry, this year, but yeah, I just wanted to throw this out here because let's throw in a little bit of negativity. It's been far too long since I've said something negative. Let's talk about Crash Rumble. I called it Crash Rumble because it's not Crash Team Rumble. As you know, I am a big, huge Crash Bandicoot fan. And I have zero interest in touching this trash, basically. I think, you know what, I got on my list. I have a ton of things to say. I think the best thing to do would be to move on, to be honest with you. Now I'm thinking about it, it's coming back to me, so actually, no. Actually, no, let's stop where we are there. Let's stop talking about the negative side. Let's talk about another game, but let's just end it by saying, fuck Crash Rumble. Not Crash Team Rumble. fuck Crash Rumble. Okay? So, Death Road to Canada. I know this is a very old game, but this is the first time I played it. Thank you, OniPlays, for introducing me to this game. I didn't know that it was on Nintendo Switch, so I played it on there. Great little game. Great little game. If you haven't played it, if you like these zombie survival games, and I know there's a million of there, but I do like the concept that you can create your own like characters. So essentially, like you could like role play like a couple of things. Like, oh my god, Mr. Bean is out in on this road. Do you help him or do you recruit him, or maybe you just leave him alone to fight for himself? You know, just stuff like that. You know, just the ability to create your own players. It's a cute little art style, obviously pixely, but it's a nice little game. Fun to play with another player as well. Played it with a friend and we enjoyed it. Death Road to Canada. I highly recommend it. I know it's old, but I played it for the first time this year, so hey ho, that's how it goes. Now, up next is Advance Wars 1 and 2, which I think. So here's the thing. So I mentioned that I grew up with Game Boy and DS, and that's the only Nintendo stuff I have. I have this vague memory of playing this game. This game was very popular in school. I remember playing it because I remember some of the characters in it, but I couldn't remember how to play it. And I completely forgot about this game until the reveal trailer that they were doing the remake of Advance Wars 1 and 2. And as soon as it did, like that just like unlocked a forgotten memory in my brain. So I just wanted to shout out this because I spent a lot of hours on this. I've just only now finished Advance Wars 1. I need to get back in so I can complete Advance Wars 2. But I think this game kind of got forgotten because obviously it got not cancelled, but it got postponed because of the whole like war, the whole Russia-Ukraine war thing happened, and they rightfully so. They obviously postponed the game because of all the references to war. But the game did come out this year, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Not much to say, really. I'm kind of gutted that it didn't get as much attention on the internet as it should have, because I think it's good. I think it's really good, especially multiplayer. Again, another game that I played with friends. Very, very fun to play, as it should be, because although I don't remember much, I remember playing this a lot in school, so it must have been fun. But yeah, just another highlight of the year. Another mention that I've got on here as well. Marble It Up came out with Ultra. Marble It Up Ultra. I really enjoyed Marble It Up. When that first came out, I played it a lot, and then all of a sudden, hey, Marble It Up Ultra. Like, this is like a deluxe edition or an upgrade version. Essentially, Marble It Up 2, right? It just came out, and it came out free. Like, I had it for free, and that's because I already had the original version, but I thought it was cool. The dev actually spoke to me on Twitter or X or whatever, and you know, just to clarify the situation, I highly recommend. It's a good game to shut your brain off and just sit down and just enjoy. You know, it's a great game. Definitely worth checking out. I just wanted to mention that before we move on to the next one. So this next one didn't come out this year. In fact, this game many consider to be iconic. This is quite an old game. It's quite a legendary game. It has a huge reputation for it. But let me explain myself as I bring it up. Super Mario 64. So hear me out here. So this isn't the first time that I've played this game. Okay? This isn't the first time that I played Super Mario 64. I have played different versions of it over the years. But this year, 2023, was the year where I finally beat it. Not 100% mine, but it's the first time that I actually fought the final boss. You know, just like completed it, just completed it, not 100% complete it. I'm no, let's not talk about the completionist here, but yeah, this is the first time I ever completed, or beat at least, finished Super Mario 64, and I gotta say, I am not envious of the people that grew up with this game without save states, because my god, this game pissed me off. No joke, like, this game was hell. I don't know how I persevered. I guess it was because of the save states, as I just mentioned, but this game is so infuriating. I don't know how anyone could have grew up with this, quite frankly. um, yeah, as someone that I definitely prefer Mario Odyssey. Let's just put it that way. I definitely prefer the later games. To be fair, I've still got plenty of other 3D games to play. I haven't played Sunshine. I haven't played Galaxy, and I got them on the list eventually. But this one, I just wanted to mention, and I might as well mention it as well because I finally completed a childhood game. One of the earliest games I remember playing on the Game Boy was Super Mario Land 2 and the Six Coins, and that was added to the Nintendo Switch Online, and I completed that. I guess technically for the first time, because I never knew that was the first game to have Wario in it. So yeah, that's another shout out as well. But yeah, big year for Mario. Big year for Mario. Hopefully, I'll be playing some more Mario games in the new year. As I am, like, the Nintendo Switch, man. I just want to mention the Nintendo Switch has really taken over as my favorite console. It really has. It's actually taken over the PS5 in my opinion as like my go-to console now. Just because of I only got the Nintendo Switch recently, but over the years I've been like collecting games, not necessarily playing them, but like collecting games on there. And this year has really been like the year where I just finally been like, okay, I'm just gonna play all of these games now, and I have been, and I plan to continue to do so. But it's so cool. Like I got this whole library of like games now for the Nintendo Switch compared to the PS5, right? That you know only 500 gigs, and most of the new games now are like over 100 gigs now, pretty much taking up fifth, a whole fifth of your PS5 console. No, 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 no. The Switch is where it's at, in my opinion. I'm definitely converting to Nintendo. There's another, not just the game, but a series I'm gonna be mentioning later on. I'm checking what else is on the list. I don't know what this is. Oh, Dead Island 2. Okay, so there's a bit of a background here. So, Dead Island 1 was one of my favorite games on the PS3 at the time, and I've been waiting for this for years. So even as it's not a shit game, it's not a shit game. No, 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 no. It's not. No, it's not a shit game, but it's not a great game either. It's very, very average. Unfortunately, I don't know. I preferred the first one. I think that might be because of nostalgia, but I prefer Dead Island 1 over Dead Island 2. Even though I waited for this for years, literally years. I'm sure that people that know the story of this franchise, can attest to like the crazy whirlwind story that it's been. But I waited a long time for this, and even though it wasn't on my wish list for this year. It was a game that when it came out, I was like, you know what, might as well have some money lying around. Let's just give it a try, see if it is any good. And I enjoyed it at first, but it got very old very quickly. I found it not as good as the first one, and the first one isn't good either. Let me just say that Dead Island 1 is a terrible game, but I have a soft spot for it. But Dead Island 2 wasn't as good. Let's just put it that way. I'm yet to go back to it. We'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually. Now, speaking of, I guess this is an indie title. I don't know the full story of it. This game kind of came out of nowhere for me personally, and that's Bramble and the Mountain King. So, again, another thing that you'll notice on this channel, I am a big fan of Little Nightmares and Little Nightmares 2, and very excited about Little Nightmares 3. Hopefully I'll be talking about that in the new year, but this game Bramble kind of came out of nowhere. I just remember seeing like a clip online of like this giant thing that's crawling in the water, in the mud, that's trying to chase you. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this could be interesting. So I gave this a try. And at first I was like, oh, this is just Little Nightmares again. But by the end of it, it kind of becomes its own thing. Like, it's sort of like, it has its own identity. It's not just another Little Nightmares game. It's its own thing. Bramble is its own thing. It has some concepts in it that are better than what they had in Little Nightmares. Even there were some elements that I think is better than Little Nightmares. This is quite a great game. This is a good game. I recommend if you like that sort of thing. But very, very. If I could describe it in one word, it's metal. It's like a Nordic, like it's based on like Nordic folklore. And as you know, Norse mythology is kind of metal, and this game is kind of metal. So yeah, I'd give that a try if you like that sort of thing. I don't know what this one is. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, Cruis'n'Blast. This is just a quick one because I haven't really committed that much time into it to really have a true opinion. I guess it was just on the list because whatever. Cruis'n'Blast, great game. Discovered on the Nintendo Switch. Very good. Funny enough, obviously I played it for the first time this year. I also, for the first time in a long time, I actually went to an arcade this year. And guess what? This fucking game was there. Cruis'n'Blast was actually in the arcade, so I actually got to play it in an arcade, and that just made me like more fascinated in this game. I need to go back to it. I need to play more of it. I haven't played enough of it. It's like a game that like I fancy playing like very occasionally, and when I do, I enjoy it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back and play it again like later, and then I don't for a while, but I enjoyed it. I definitely have to play more. I guess it's on here because it's obviously like a little bit of a highlight, especially the arcade thing as well. Okay, so this next one, Resident Evil 4 was a big one for me this year. This one is a very, very big one. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. So, for those that know me, you will know, Breath of the Wild is my all-time favorite video game of all time. It's one of my favorite games ever. Breath of the Wild meant so much to me personally. There's a whole story there. There's a whole personal story. I have a personal attachment to that game. It came from a certain period of my life that I don't know, things might have been different if it wasn't for that game. And I know you shouldn't hold weight for video games. I know you shouldn't care, but Breath of the Wild I genuinely cared about. It came out at the right time. Who knows where I would have been without it, but Tears of the Kingdom had a tough act to follow. This was going to be like a sequel to the best game ever made. How are you going to do that? Well, they did it. Tears of the Kingdom is better than Breath of the Wild in every single way. It's not just the one map. Sorry, I'm trying to think of like how to put it into words. So this game is like the mechanics of the new mechanics of this game that they introduced in this game, the Ultra Hand, the Ascend ability, and the Rewind are some of the best like mechanics I've ever experienced in a video game, quite frankly. With the synergy between those three mechanics as well is just phenomenal. Obviously, it's not just Hyrule this time. You've also got the depths, and you've got all the Sky Islands, or the Skylands, if you will. Um, it's just, I don't know. Spent a lot of time playing this year. This was a big game. This was a big game. This was my game of the year. We'll talk about what was the game of the year at the Game Awards eventually. We will bring that up, but I just wanted to point out that this game was my game of the year, personally, because it was better than Breath of the Wild in almost every single way. Gameplay wise, NPC wise, story wise, it was just so much better. But I still prefer Breath of the Wild, personally. As great as Tears of the Kingdom is, like I said, the mechanics are the best I've ever experienced in a video game. Just the Ultra Hand alone makes this an awesome game. But you throw in the rewind and the ascend, this game is close to perfection. But it doesn't. For me personally, it doesn't have that personal connection that I had with Breath of the Wild. Don't get me wrong. This game has some emotional moments. This game has some brilliant, breathtaking moments, and I have teared up playing this game. Don't get me wrong. But Breath of the Wild came to me at a certain point of my life, in my life, I should say, and yeah, I just hold that just a little bit closer. I just hold it a little bit closer. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but that's just how it is, unfortunately. Yeah. I have plenty more to say, but I'm looking at this list. There's a few more, so I might try and plow through this a little bit quicker. The next game is actually another game that was on my wish list. A game that really, really turned into something special for me. So Street Fighter 6, right? So my history with Street Fighter, well, in terms of fighting games, like my all-time favorite fighting games have always been either Mortal Kombat or Tekken. Street Fighter I have tried to get into so many times, but I just never could. Couldn't get into the Alpha Anthology on PS2. Couldn't get into Street Fighter 4. Couldn't get into Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 6 came out, and this became, for me at least, the standard bearer. This was the perfect fighting game. This was the perfect fighting game. There are so many things that they do right in this game. There's so many things. This is the new standard bearer for me when it comes to fighting games. They brought back the conquest mode, something that I've been like dying to see in a new Mortal Kombat game. They brought back the conquest mode from Mortal Kombat Deception, but they put it into Street Fighter form, where you can create your own character and beat up any people on the street that you want and interact with all the characters. There's such a vibe to this game. There's such a cool vibe to this game that I really, really love. And this is also the first proper fighting game that I played with a steady internet connection. All the other games that I've ever played, all the other fighting games that I tried to play online, they just go horribly wrong in terms of the internet connection. It's just never stable. But for whatever reason, I don't know if this is because this is the first fighting game that I played online with a rollback netcode. I don't know if it has one. I don't know all of that technical stuff, but this is the first fighting game where I actually felt encouraged to play it online, and I did, and I loved it. I have some pleasant memories, some not so pleasant memories as well, but I love this game. This is definitely my new favorite fighting game. The fact that this came out in the same year as Tears of the Kingdom and Resident Evil 4, and a few other games that I'll mention eventually, is a testament to how good 2023 has been in terms of the video games. I know there's been a lot of stinkers like this year as well, but it's easier to look at the positives this year in terms of video games than it is the negatives. Although there's a lot of both. I'm trying to stay with the, well, I say I'm going to try and stay with the positives. There is a game coming up next on this list that I gotta mention. it's going to be negative. I gotta say, it's going to be negative. But I just want to say, Street Fighter 6 what is definitely one of the best fighting games ever made. If you want to get into fighting games, you can't go wrong with starting with this one. All I'll say is that Mortal Kombat and Tekken have a tough act to follow. Mortal Kombat is on this list, but first let's get to the next one. Okay, so bringing up the... I'm going to make this one quick because my time on this has been very, very quick. So AEW Fight Forever, new wrestling game out on the scene, trying to replicate, trying to be the spiritual successor to one of the best wrestling games ever made, WWF No Mercy, coming from someone that never owned it, because like I said, I only had a Game Boy, didn't have any N64 or GameCube or anything like that, but I do have a lot of memories with friends, playing friends' Nintendo consoles, and I remember specifically playing No Mercy with a friend, well, a group of friends actually, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I really, really enjoyed that game. And this was kind of a spiritual successor to that, and it was just miserable. This is a miserable experience. I do not recommend this. Even if you are an AEW fan, which quite frankly I don't know why you would be. There I go, upsetting the fan base again, but yeah, this game sucks. This game sucks. Proof that Ukes, the people that made all the WWE games over the years, proof that they need WWE more than WWE need them. This game sucks. I don't recommend. That's all I'll say about it. That is all I will say about it. So what is next on my list? Oh, High on Life. Okay, so I don't know how old this game is at this point. I don't want to dwell too much on this because I have had one playthrough of this on PS5. And I could go into a whole thing like about what's it called, millennial writing. I saw a video on that, and this was definitely up there as one of the worst examples of that. I'm definitely, I used to be a fan of Rick and Morty, don't get me wrong, but that style has definitely gotten old very quickly, and I don't know what I was thinking, quite frankly. I thought I'd give it a try, didn't enjoy it. Just a big fan of Psychic Pebbles, just wanted to see him in this. Might as well have stuck with YouTube, quite frankly, because this game was kind of lame. Shout out as well, a couple of games on here as well. I want to mention Roblox. I played Roblox for the first time this year because it came out on PS5 finally. Not a good experience. I don't know why that game is so popular. Compared to Minecraft, at least. I don't know what makes Roblox so popular. I do not recommend Roblox at all. And the other game I got this list is, I don't know why it's on here because I'm yet to play it, like, fully. I only just started Metal Gear Solid. The collection came out, and I got it on the Nintendo Switch, and I've only played the first one so far. I've heard bad things about it, but I'm yet to play it. It's for one reason or another, I just haven't picked up on it again. Not much to say about it, but I just want to bring something up now. This next, this isn't just one game that I'm about to bring up. There's 4. Okay, so this is a little series called Pikmin. So my only knowledge of Pikmin was the Only Plays playthrough. All I knew about it was that Julian really loves the first one. And I remember catching a live stream, like a Ding Dong VG live stream, where Julian was playing Pikmin 1 again. And I remember going into the chat and saying, hey, the only Pikmin game on the Switch is Pikmin 3. Is a good place to start? And everyone was saying, yeah, it's good. So I bought it, and it's out on my Switch for years. Then all of a sudden, Pikmin 1 and 2 just dropped. Okay, so instead of playing Pikmin 3, now instead I can play Pikmin 1 first and then go Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. Let's go with that. So I played Pikmin 1. Didn't quite get into it at first. Pikmin 2, kind of an improvement. Pikmin 3 was where it kind of like dawned on me that this is a great series. Like Pikmin 3 was, I guess Pikmin 3, not a lot of people like Pikmin 3 as much as the others, but I do, because it was something very, very satisfying about Pikmin 3. I don't know what it is about this series. I'm still trying to grasp it to this day, but I love these games. And then obviously once I was done with Pikmin 3, I decided, you know what, Pikmin 4 has been out for a while now, so let's play that. And Pikmin 4 came out, well, I mean, I downloaded Pikmin 4, played it, fell in love with it all over again. So, to me, the Pikmin series has just been getting better and better over the years, right? And I never heard of it, but I'm glad I have heard of it, because this is really, really good. The Pikmin series is really, really good. I strongly recommend it. Like, if you don't get into Nintendo for Mario or Zelda or Metroid or anything or Pokemon, get into Nintendo for this. Get into Nintendo for Pikmin, because this is really, really, really good, really underrated. Obviously, it's too cutesy for most people, but it's also too strange for others. But I strongly recommend it. I strongly recommend Pikmin. It's a really good series. To this day, I'm still playing Pikmin Bloom on my phone. That's actually taken over Pokemon Go as my favorite mobile game, funny enough. It really has. It's a really good series. I do strongly recommend it. Pikmin has really taken over as one of my favorite franchises. It really, really has. Very strong point, very strong highlight of the year for me. And yeah, again, more games that I'm looking forward to replaying down the line. Alright, back down. We were on the peak now. Now we're going back to the bottom, because I'm about to bring up this piece of shit. Oh god, what can I say? So, I already mentioned, at one point, Mortal Kombat and Tekken were my favorite fighting games. Mortal Kombat 11 was such a major disappointment. I hated everything about that game. The only thing good about it was the fatalities, but apart from that, no. Nothing. There was no redeeming quality for that game, right? Which is a shame, because I fucking love Mortal Kombat at that point, right? This year Street Fighter 6 has come out, and as I said, Street Fighter 6 is the new standard bearer. Like, this is the best fighting game ever made. Top that, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 12 came out. I refuse to call it 1. It isn't Mortal Kombat 1, it is Mortal Kombat 12. Thank you very much. But Mortal Kombat 12 came out, and deep down I knew it wasn't going to. It wasn't going to be even close, but it was worse than I imagined. It was actually worse than I thought it would be. If it wasn't for the likes of Gollum and fucking the Rise of Kong or whatever the fuck, if it wasn't for those games coming out this year, this would be on my list of worst games of the year. What a disappointment. Everything about this game is so mid. It's so mid. How can a series, like, I said I hated Mortal Kombat 11, but it actually had some redeeming qualities. Actually, I just kind of, yeah, I just realized what I just said there. Okay, so the thing about Mortal Kombat 11 is that I hated the direction that it was going in, right? But I also hated the direction that Injustice 2 went down. And to me, Mortal Kombat 12 felt like it was regressing back to what Injustice 2 was like. It's still bad, but it's not shit. This game was so bad that it felt like a regression. Like, it regressed from Mortal Kombat 11. It's gone backwards. How does a fucking series go backwards, you know? I don't know. I'm all flustered just thinking about this game. I could go on a tangent. I haven't been this angry about a game for a very long time. Not since I don't want to mention because I might upset a few folk as well. But there's another game that I was very, very angry about. A couple of years old now at this point, but I haven't been this angry about a video game since then. Maybe Crash Rumble and Mortal Kombat 12. These games, well, like, these are like two of my favorite franchises growing up, and the games that they put out this year have absolutely been like stabs to the back. You know, Crash Rumble sucks. Mortal Kombat 12 sucks. I could go on about it all day, but I shouldn't. I really, really shouldn't. So I'm not going to. Let's get this filth off of my list, off my screen. Okay, so back on the Nintendo hype train now. Super Mario Wonder came out this year. I already mentioned Mario Land 2 I completed for the first time this year, so this is technically not the first 2D Mario game that I completed, but I got this, and I can see why it was like nominated for Game of the Year. Like, it's been a big year for games. I personally would have put Pikmin 4 or Street Fighter 6 over it, but I can see why this was picked as a Game of the Year, because this game is so delightful. Like, really, this is just like me becoming like a Nintendo fanboy again, but all I've done really in this recording is just talk about how much I love Nintendo now, all the Nintendo games, and this is just another example of that. Super Mario Wonder is a really good game. It is really good. I enjoyed it a lot more than I should have. It's really, really good. I can't really say much about it aside from it's good. It's colourful, it's bright, it's clever, got a lot of clever ideas. Every level in it feels unique. As far as Mario games go, this is one of the best well, I was about to call him Gary. This is one of the best Mario games that has come out. Really, really good. This is coming from someone that at one point I used to condemn Mario. Someone that used to hate Mario, but only because I didn't grow up with him. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Obviously, there's going to be like a few games that I've left out. There's a lot of games that I don't really play. Like I've never played a Sonic game, so I'm not going to mention anything Sonic related. I do have on this list that I have played so there I go. WarioWare Move It this year. That was fun for about like an hour or two. Need to finish it, but yeah, it's a for a motion control game. That one's pretty cool. And I'm currently in the middle of the Pokemon Violet DLC. Now, I know there's a lot of negative things said about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but as bad as those games are, it is Pokemon, and Pokemon is a guilty pleasure of mine, personally. And in terms of the DLC, though, the first half of it sucked. This one seems promising. I haven't beat it yet, like the new DLC part, but I haven't really completed it yet, so I'll hold my breath on that. And the other thing that I want to mention as well is Tekken 8. It's not out yet, but I have played the demo now. And what I said about Street Fighter 6, I mentioned Mortal Kombat and Tekken have a tough act to follow. Mortal Kombat failed miserably, in my opinion. Tekken 8, not so much. Actually, Tekken 8 might be in the running to be my favourite fighting game again. We'll see when the game comes out. But the judging by what I played in the demo, it's pretty promising. It's not going to be like a Conquest mode or World Tour mode or whatever, but it seems promising. Like I said, Tekken 7 at one point was my favourite fighting game, and Tekken 8 seems like it's going to be better than that. All they have to do is just put in a few of my mains, because out of my 5 main characters in the Tekken series, 4 of them have not made it into Tekken 8. The only one that has actually made it is Dragunov. But yeah, fingers crossed, Lei Wulong will be added. Fingers crossed, Eddie Gordo will be added. And fingers crossed, Bob will be added. But until they do, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. There's only one game on this list to talk about now, and this is the game that I'm currently playing. I've already mentioned that Tears of the Kingdom was my game of the year. But for a lot of people, this is their game of the year. So, what hasn't been said already about Baldur's Gate 3? So first of all, I didn't think it was my cup of tea. So I wasn't interested in it at first. I was curious enough to pre-order it on the PS5. That's how I've been playing it. I've been playing it on the PS5. And so yeah, I played it and I had a little bit of a sensory overload because like it instantly gave me a headache. Just like the sheer amount of stuff that there is to do in this game very early on as well. It gave me this massive headache, and like I knew why people were talking about it as game of the year from that moment. I completely understood, but I didn't want to play it because this would have been the game that I would have like lost an entire lifetime over. You know, like I used to be like there were certain games that I used to play as like a teenager and a young adult. There would be games that I would obsess with. Like I literally lived just for these games, and this would have been the type of game that I would have lived for at the time. I would have been obsessed with this game as a young adult, and I knew. And at this point in my life, I didn't really need something like this, so I stopped playing. Then obviously it won Game of the Year. It won all of those awards at the Game Awards, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a second shot, but I'm going to approach it more moderately, and I have done so far, but everything that I've done so far has been so compelling. It's been a very, very, one of the most immersive experiences that I've ever had in a video game. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. I haven't even finished Act 1 yet, because like there's so much things to do, so many things to explore. Literally, like the last thing where I left off is that literally, like I'm in the middle of a party, and I've made it so that all of my companion characters is ready to like be in a relationship with me. They're all confessing to me, and I don't know who I should choose to romance. And it's such like a tough decision to make because all of the characters, these are some of the most compelling characters I've ever met in a video game. It's insane. Like this game is absolutely insane. It's very hard not to obsess over this game though. It is very hard to not obsess over it. The only thing that I'd like to do is play this with friends. I haven't been able to do that yet. But it did win Best Multiplayer of the Game of the Year, which is quite surprising, especially since Street Fighter came out this year. But this is definitely worthy of being Game of the Year. Even though Tears of the Kingdom is my personal pick for Game of 2023, I can see why this is many, many others. And very quickly it is kind of becoming mine. The clock is kind of ticking now because obviously I'm recording this just before the New Year countdown. Really, it's still New Year's Eve right now, but yeah, I can see why. But there you have it. That's my list. Just wanted to talk about. I just wanted to give a few minutes to a lot of the games because there were a lot of highlights. As I said, there were so many games this year that I played this year. So many highlights, more than any other year. For some reason, I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to give some time to them. Just wanted to mention them, and here's to a new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Here's to a new year. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. I don't feel comfortable saying them, but I'll say it anyway. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed. What did I say? Leave a comment about what you liked. What were your highlights of the year? Bloody hell, I'm just cringing just saying that. I'll just leave it at there before I make things even more awkward. So, yeah, that was my list. Hope you enjoyed. Happy New Year. And, yeah, peace.